You are probably familiar with the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, and its impact on data privacy. But have you heard about the latest strides in the European Union's digital strategy? We are specifically talking about the Data Act and the Artificial Intelligence Act. Before these, companies in the EU navigated a complex landscape of data usage and AI deployment with different standards and practices. Now, the Data Act and AI Act are set to revolutionize how organizations handle data and artificial intelligence by streamlining this process, setting clear guidelines for ethical AI use and fair data access across the Union. In today's episode of TechTalk, we speak with Dr. Jan-Peter Ohrtmann, who is a partner and the Global Privacy and Cyber Legal Network Lead from PwC Legal Germany, and Dr. Saharnaz Dilmaghani, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Senior Associate at PwC Luxembourg. Together, we'll explore how organizations are gearing up for these changes, particularly the operational shifts required, the potential hurdles in compliance, and the strategies to overcome them. We will also delve into the intricacies of the Data Act's provisions for fair data use and the AI Act's risk-based approach to AI system classification. I'm your host, Carlos Santos, and this is Tech Talk, technology made simple over a cup of coffee. So, grab your favorite beverage and let's dive right into it. Welcome to a new episode of Tech Talk. Today we are going to dive into two important regulations, the Data Act and the Artificial Intelligence Act.
And today, to help us navigate these two regulations, we are joined by two fascinating guests. We have Saharnaz and Jan-Peter that will bring us their valuable insights on these two topics. So welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me back.
Our pleasure.
And maybe for starters, can you tell us maybe a bit more about yourself and why you are here today with us?
Who wants to start?
Saharnaz.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So yes, I'll introduce myself briefly. I'm an advisor in the Data and AI team at PwC Luxembourg. My current focus is on generative AI and broader AI technologies, of course with a particular emphasis on responsible AI implementation. This includes my keen interest in AI Act and AI standards. These are basically the areas that I've been closely following over the past years. And yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, same for me. My name is Jan-Peter Ohrtmann. I'm a partner at PwC Legal in Germany, focusing on data, especially privacy topics since basically 2004, so quite some time. Also having a bit of a global role within PwC, taking care and coordinating the subnetworks, the cyber and privacy subnetwork internationally. And in that context, deeply looking into all these new regulations we'll be talking about today.
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction. So let's get right into it. And the first question is for you, Jan-Peter. The European Union has defined its digital strategy. Can you give us an overview of it? So some context, explain, mention some of the regulations that includes.
Yeah, happy to do so. I mean, we could do an own episode probably on these topics. So basically, it's a real whole package which the European Union has enacted, addressing all these developments which we have in the digital domain. So there are provisions which address online services, basically. So the Digital Markets and the Digital Services Act, with the Digital Services Act more addressing content of online services providers, and the Digital Markets Act regulating a bit more from the competitive perspective, the gatekeeper side, so ensure a level playing field for market participants in that area. We have a bit cybersecurity regulations, various regulations, and also directives like the Cyber Resilience Act, which addresses cybersecurity of digital products. And last but not least, what we're talking about today, AI in different aspects, and the Data Act, which addresses basically connected products and related services.
Thanks for the big picture. Then let's dive one level lower, I would say. Let's look now at the European Data Act. Can you tell us a bit more about it? Maybe when it was adopted, who's really impacted, and why do we need it altogether?
Yeah, it was adopted quite recently in January, 11th January, and now we have a 20-month grace period before it actually applies. And basically, the idea behind the Data Act is, well, firstly, it addresses, as I said, digital products, so connected products by which data are created and services related to that. And the idea behind the Data Act is basically to ensure that if I have a producer of a connected product, that this producer is not does not have de facto a monopoly in providing them with related services, but that also aftermarket sales providers can offer their service. So basically, one of the typical examples are services around predictive maintenance. Of course, the producer of a product is in a much better position in order to derive information from data from these things which he has produced, and to ensure that also other service providers can provide maintenance. It shall be ensured that they have access to the data, and thus be able to provide also their services.
So a much needed regulation since we are surrounded by data everywhere. Also very important is the EU AI Act, which is the first EU regulatory framework for AI. It was proposed by the European Commission in April 2021, and it has recently been approved by the European Parliament, more precisely on 13 March 2024. Is that right?
That's right.
So, Saharnaz, in August last year, we recorded an episode together, and we discussed the AI Act. But now, could you remind our listeners what it entails, who's concerned, and maybe as well talk about what has changed since we last spoke?
Yeah, certainly. Well, just to remind you about the AI Act, as also mentioned, so it's part of this EU digital strategy, and the AI Act's primary goal is to ensure the safe, transparent, and accountable use of AI. So basically, it's the impact that AI brings into individuals' life, and is to avoid and basically minimize the risks as much as possible. So that's the whole purpose, and across the member states, obviously. So it has a risk-based approach. That means that we have this AI users are categorized into 4 risk levels. We have prohibited risks, high risk, limited, and minimal risk. And depending on these categories, there are certain requirements and obligations that companies and organizations need to comply with. So that's just bringing the global picture. But yes, that was a very good question. A lot of things have been changed. So as we see this fast evolving AI, obviously policymakers and legislators probably maybe for the first time, they need to also keep up with and adapt with the pace of technology, the technological evolution. And one of those changes and evolution is obviously generative AI. So this was not even the topic, or it was not really on the radar until 2022. And now with the latest version that we saw, there is a whole set of specific articles, and there is a whole new title under general purpose AI. So we can just assume that's a fancy name for generative AI. It's just a global, and even like for deciding this name, there was a lot of negotiations. Are we is the rules for generative AI? Is it for LLM model? Yeah. Is it like for fundamental? So it's like a lot of, and now they come up with general purpose AI. So as you can also guess from the name, it's all the AI models that can do multiple tasks, and obviously generative AI, LLM models like ChatGPT, Bing, which is now Copilot, is also part of this. I mean, they're changing the names, they're changing the models, so sometimes it's so difficult to keep up. So I think that's one of the significant changes. But then also the scope was expanded. So now we have more high-risk AI applications in the Act. And also there was a lot of conversation and negotiations also around biometric, specific in this, especially on this topic under biometric domain. I think it's also worth mentioning the structure and the governance aspect, because now we have AI office at the EU level, which has this responsibility to support and basically to help organizations, but also to monitor the AI Act implementations and compliance. This will be followed by National Market Surveillance Authority, which in Luxembourg, I assume it will be CNDP or CSSF, but to be confirmed and also to be clarified later. So maybe I can summarize these three aspects as the main changes, but there were a lot. So
I can imagine. And actually, I have an unlisted question. So I guess that as the AI landscape will keep evolving, do you foresee the AI Act to also evolve in the coming months, years?
That's a good question. I think Jan-Peter knows better because he has a better law background than me, so I'm coming from a technical background. I think there might be new rules or in a different format, or perhaps amendments, or that's also part of the, from what I understood, that would be responsibility of AI office as well, especially when it comes to generative AI, because it's just the beginning of this model, AI technologies. But we are also now seeing more of this kind of legislation in other territories. And obviously this is going to have a huge impact on, this kind of between territories and cross territories. And definitely, probably updates or new rules or different legislations. That might be something that we will see in the next years.
Jan-Peter, do you want to add anything? Do you see it evolving in the future?
Yes, sure. I think just can echo what Saharnaz just said. I think what we in particular will see, given that the AI Act is a horizontal regulation which applies across all industries, that we will also see industry-specific provisions and rules in which format and on basis ever. But yes, we'll keep seeing the legislator, policymakers to be active.
Great, but now that we have a version for today, let's stick with the AI Act of today, and to go maybe a level deeper. Now that it's been approved, what do you see as impacts for the people? I mean, people are impacted, so member states, companies, even robots or the copilots of these days. How will they be impacted by this Data Act and this AI Act? And what are the challenges that they would face?
Yeah, I mean, I think we still have one step and one final decision to be made, and that's going to happen soon in April. And then afterwards, so probably before summer, this will be published. And when it comes, when actually it became a law, there's going to be different stages of implementation. So the first 6 months will be for the banned AI. So all the AI that is categorized, all the AI models that are categorized as prohibited AI, they have to be removed from EU, obviously. And then the next 6 months will be for general purpose AI. So as you said, model AI uses like applications like Copilot, ChatGPT, they will be they have to basically follow the requirements, and this will be enforced. And then afterwards, after that 1 year, all the other categories, high risk AI and other regulations will be applied. So that is just in case of the timeline. But yes, as you said, many also just to clarify, AI Act will impact all the organizations that are somehow involved in the AI lifecycle. So that means it's not only for AI developers, but it's also for their obligations for AI users or deployers, also for importers. And that means like it's not, it will be also applied to those companies and organizations that are basically implementing their AI or deploying their AI within EU. So even if the company is not here or the data is not here. Mm-hmm. And that's going to bring a lot of challenges. And I think even like the first step on identifying AI, let's start from that, because we saw a lot of hidden AI also within companies. This is a very trendy topic. It's been a trendy topic for a while. That's why, as you can imagine, a lot of companies are trying to label AI on their systems, even if it's not AI, or the other way around. So that's make it even more difficult, or with the new definition of AI. So the definition of AI also changed a lot through this 2 years of AI. So even so I think without going to the stages of mapping the requirements, there is this whole big challenge of creating an AI inventory and labeling the systems that you have. A lot of companies are deploying AI, and that's really that needs a dialogue with the developers and really understanding that the system is AI. And I think that's the beauty, or maybe the nice thing, advantage of AI Act, because now we should think about, the companies should be transparent, and you really understand what is behind this algorithm. Is it like just simple data analytics? Is it more than that? Is it prediction? Is it generation? And I think that's going to be a big challenge. But once you have that, probably the next step will be easier. And there are also challenges on mapping these requirements and categorizing your AI. And then, of course, also considering this fast evolving nature of AI, thinking about future-proof risk management system, as you said. So we should be also ready and foresee, preparing our systems and risk management system, or basically the governance, in a way that it is future-proof for the technology itself and also for the regulations that are coming.
So that's a lot to take in for organizations and users as well.
Yeah.
Now back to you, Jan-Peter. So similarly to the AI Act, how are organizations implementing the Data Act? What are their hurdles, basically?
Yeah, I mean, given there's just very recently enacted, companies, although they have it on the radar screen, are currently rather at the beginning. One of the first steps, which is currently conducted or should be conducted, is like the Saharnaz mentioned it for AI, namely to identify in which areas I'm impacted. We have the uncertainty as discussed in terms of what is AI, but similarly with connected products which I have in my company, which areas, which business fields, which divisions do I have these products? What are services which qualify in the terms of the Data Act as being related services, so which also fall into the scope of the application? This is the first scoping exercise which companies need to do in order to see where they have to implement these respective measures and management system. And then it's important, we'll may touch that later, to see which processes internally, business processes, are impacted by the obligations from the Data Act. So I have the whole customer and interaction process, because the Data Act is about access of the user to the data which he or she produces. So there needs the business process in terms of customer interaction needs to be addressed. So I need people in my project, compliance projects, which address these. I need in the implementation the technical colleagues, which means as well from the data side as from the engineering side, from the engineering of products, because we have in the Data Act an obligation to have access by design. So products need to be designed in a way that they provide as easily access to the data as possible. So setting up work streams with all impacted areas and functions, and then executing this work stream. This is currently what companies work about and address. And hurdles. Typically, we see that a lot of companies so far are not as detailed in the data management as the Data Act requires them to be, and also the AI Act. So it's a good reason for having both topics now in this tech talk together. Companies typically need to improve the way to identify and manage the data which they are holding and on the Data Act to which they have to grant access.
Maybe now that you started talking about the market, a follow-up question then on the market. How do you see within companies and within the market the different stakeholders, so on both acts, AI and data? How do you see them reacting and how are they looking at both acts? And maybe because we speak a lot about the challenges, if we can maybe speak about the opportunities and the good things that we see and that they might see or might not see from these two acts.
Yeah,
Saharnaz, do you want to start?
So I'm with you there when you mentioned about data management and data strategy. And I think just to bring the positive aspect, or let's say how we can make these challenges easier. Mm-hmm. So I think once you have a data management, you have like a governance and basically data management, data governance, these are like each important pillars. You are also, maybe we can say, almost halfway there with the AI Act as well. So as you also said in the beginning, data is also a vital aspect for basically a crucial element of the AI. So that's also mentioned in the AI Act. So we have like privacy concerns. We have a lot of requirements goes also to data, which shows the intersection between, for example, we can also refer to GDPR, Data Act. So there are a lot of commonalities here and basically the common obligations that can be solved. And once you have that, so that maybe we can say that reduces the challenges that you have. So it's not like that they're separated, but then there are also challenges that, I also agree with this point about bringing the people in the same room, like having a cross-functional team. So you can discuss this and you can open up this dialogue to see how to seamlessly integrate this compliance such that your operational, basically your business is not disrupted.
Yeah, but perhaps adding then on the Data Act perspective. Indeed, as mentioned, different functions, different stakeholders to be involved. What we see quite often with clients, that when it comes to discussion, who takes care of it? So who takes ownership of this compliance project implementing requirements of the Data Act, that people tend to look at the Data Protection Office, because it's about data. This is established due to GDPR. So there is a tendency to say, well, they shall take care of it. And there is some good reason also of doing that, because on the one hand, of course, the management structures are typically there. There's some sort of data protection management implemented already. the Data Act foresees the requirement also to put it differently, the Data Act leaves privacy requirements, GDPR, unaffected. So whenever I provide access to data, I need to ensure that all privacy requirements like a legal basis for lawful processing is existent. So I need, in any case, when providing access and use the data, I need the privacy check function on board. However, it's much broader than that. So I think the recommendation is with the stakeholders to think about having clients to think the data management broader and setting up a data office and having the privacy function really for overseeing privacy only and extending a bit the data compliance management in a way. And other stakeholders, of course, when it comes to data access, it's also about IP, intellectual property, about trade secrets. I need the legal function on whoever takes care internally of intellectual property on board. This is also of high relevance, of course. And I mentioned earlier IT, obviously, and the engineering business side.
Great, and you started already talking a bit about recommendations. I think is there anything you want to add, maybe for the people listening and the organizations listening, on recommendations related to these two acts? So I point the question to both of you. Any recommendations?
Saharnaz, you want to start again?
Okay. Yes, so recommendations. Well, let's see. I think, to me, education plays a key role here. I know we have requirements, we have compliance officers, they will go through these obligations. But when it comes to technology, when it comes to AI, when it comes to data, everybody needs to play a role, and it needs to be more than just ticking the box, like checking the requirements. I think we need to think about it from the responsible AI perspective, and also making sure that everybody in the organization is committed and they are playing their role to kind of like using AI in a way that's it's ethical and it's responsible. I don't know if you've heard about this recent incident. It happened earlier this year that an accountant paid out $25 million after a video call with deepfake CFO. Oh. So, of course, I mean, AI Act probably would help to avoid such things. But I also think this is the responsibility of the employees, and that's why awareness, education is really important. And it's also mentioned in the Act as AI literacy. So it's the responsibility of the company to make sure that they have educated their employees very well. And this is like, you can do it in different ways, but obviously it's really important to create that culture that prioritize responsible AI. I think I also mentioned this. So we should also look into future, and it's just the beginning of the era, and we see even like the last year we saw a lot of changes, and now it's like even not amazed. We are not amazed when we are hearing like Gemini. The next week is Sora. The next week is the new model. So if it was like in the past, so each of these news were like big, it was such a huge change that we've dedicated a lot of time to that. But we don't have that time because things are changing so fast and so difficult to keep up. So I think it's the same when you are implementing. It's just a very fast moving train and you have to jump in soon. But then taking care of risks and being also compliant is really challenging. And I think that's why we need to think about proactive approaches and thinking about how we can, beside like being compliant is one thing, but then also how we can foster this innovation and innovative growth by using AI. Obviously, that's the whole purpose, right? So we want to use AI responsibly, we want to take advantage, but also we want to harness the risks. So yeah, I think that's what I would add to what has been already said. And back to you, Jan-Peter.
Many thanks. So yeah, I think in terms of the Data Act, the recommendation would be not looking at it from a compliance perspective, but rather from a digital transformation perspective. What I mean is that the Data Act, of course, imposes regulatory requirements, and this has imposes needs for administrative efforts, etc. But in the end, it pushes towards the direction which most companies think about any way, namely about towards the digitization of products, and thinking about how to do that from the customer side, thinking about how to automate things in terms of access to data, think about which data perhaps may I be able to use also from other market participants. So taking the Data Act as an opportunity in order to build business models on data which I can access on behalf of my customers, of the users from other companies. So that would be the recommendation in terms of looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to add that indeed this competitiveness and looking from this aspect, that how we can, make a difference, how we can build trust, that would be, if you want to, that makes a big difference, let's say. And yeah, I cannot agree more with what Jan-Peter said. So, yeah.
Now let's get back to the beginning in a way, because as Jan-Peter, you mentioned that the EU digital strategy involves several regulations, is quite broad, but maybe there are also things in common. And Saharnaz, you mentioned that the AI Act and Data Act do have things in common. So how can organizations navigate all these regulations, particularly the Data Act and the AI Act, and yes, bring them together, consolidate them to ensure compliance?
So over to Jan-Peter.
Yeah, I think one key aspect is when implementing the requirement is not to think in silos of the regulations. So building up a new management system for AI, building up a new management system for Data Act, building up a new management system for etc. But integrate the requirements as much in common in single processes as possible, because also acceptance within the business of compliance. So having the business accept that they need to perform certain actions in order to ensure compliance of the company depends on making it as simple for them as possible. So Saharnaz, you mentioned terms of risk assessment. We also have risk assessment within the GDPR. So to what extent and how can that be harmonized? We need data management in terms of GDPR, in terms of Data Act, but also data used for AI. So how to bring this together in order to have it, as I said, not in silos, but as efficient as possible, and that's of course also reducing costs for company in terms of the implementation and costs for compliance.
Yeah, exactly. That echoes my sentiments as well. As also mentioned, having this cross-functional team, starting this dialogue, and also if that will not happen already, if it's not happened already, and leveraging, yes, indeed, as mentioned, leveraging the existing platform and the knowledge base. So obviously, these acts will have different impact on different organizations, and it needs, and common understanding looking into what is the current status of the company, where they are standing, and then from there they can think about, having like a holistic approach, of course, but then what are the missing pieces and how they can bring them together, minimizing the costs and efforts to be compliant with this whole EU digital strategy regulations.
So now, as this episode is coming to an end, and we've started already to pull things together and to consolidate the two acts, so I think to continue on that momentum, maybe what is the message that you want to leave our listeners with today after that podcast, both of you?
Okay.
You'll go first.
Okay.
Saharnaz.
I think I really like this point about taking this as an opportunity. And so this is basically looking at it from a digital transformation as like from that perspective, and like thinking about what can basically how you can take this as an opportunity to lead in ethical technology use, and also balancing the innovation and compliance, and of course that will lead to building the trust with the stakeholders. So I think if you go beyond checking the box and just going beyond compliance or regulations, then there are a lot of opportunities there. And also when it comes to AI Act, maybe I'd say don't wait for it to become a law. So there are a lot of things that you can already start. If you have not yet built your AI strategy, AI governance, it's the time. You have to start now.
Participate.
Yes. And of course, like, it's technology, it's changing so fast. So looking ahead and preparing for what's next is essential.
Yeah, perhaps one word that comes to my mind in particular is, and Saharnaz, you also addressed that, is speed. So all these implementation measures really take time with identifying where do I stand, because typically maturity is not as good as it perhaps should be or could be. Bringing stakeholders together, this all takes time. So really speed is of the essence in various respect and compliance respect, but also in terms of preparing for all the technological changes which we see. So speed is of the essence, and really rethinking of what technology means for me, for my organization, for my governance. We touched that earlier in the Tech Talk, but yeah, speed and rethinking governance would be my key topics.
Yeah, maybe I would also like to add this example. I really like this one. So I think this is a similar maybe change in some aspects to when computers, came to the workspace. And the only thing, just to emphasize on that point, Jan-Peter, about the speed, I think the main difference is that we don't have that many years to slowly adopt and, to integrate that into our organization, into our culture. So this is the big difference, that we need to be agile and quickly adopt. And it's not only about adopting the technology, it's also about adopting the regulations. So obviously, just to emphasize on that fast term, that is really playing an essential role.
So speed is definitely the keyword of this episode.
to jump on the train, as you were saying, and we don't know where it's going.
Yes. Indeed. Let's hope that it ends up to somewhere nice, like Switzerland. Because I'm going to travel this evening, so I'm keeping up
with snow. Thank you very much both for joining us today. It was really lovely.
So challenging to be here, like bring everybody in the same room.
Yes, but we managed, so fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
And that's all for today. This is Tech Talk, technology made simple over a cup of coffee. Don't miss out on any future episodes by hitting subscribe. Thank you for listening to this episode, and see you in the next one.